Hello, everybody. This is Murray back with you for this December the 7th edition of the News Review. And I have my buddy Hans here alongside.
Welcome back, everybody.
December the 7th, the Empire of Japan bombed American military installations at Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. Now, this concerns a lot of elderly people or people that are descendants of men that were in the greatest generation. And I understand that that we were losing about 7,000 of those men every day because we formed a 6 million man army to fight Nazi Germany and to fight Japan. But you all know the story, and I wrote a little article and mentioned some local people here in Lavaca County that happened to be there on that day. But the main thing to remember is don't forget it. I mean, pass it on to your kids, and it's just something, when you lose over 2,000 men and women, you can't just let that slide by without a mention every now and then. And I think Jimmy Apple also wrote a story on the front page of the Hallettsville Tribune Herald.
Yes, yeah, Jimmy had a story as well. I know you and Jimmy both had some stories referencing the date that will live in infamy. Like you said, December 7th, the anniversary of Pearl Harbor. And like you mentioned, in your story, you have a lot of passages pulled directly from the Hallettsville Tribune Herald in 1941. So it's really cool to see the history that was there, how people interpreted it right after it happened. And then you can also see a little bit of the impact that it had on the nation as a whole, and why it's so important that you and Jimmy and so many others think that this should be remembered by the youth and by everybody else going forward.
Yeah, I included the last line. I said, we need to be ever vigilant and not get caught unaware again. So remember Pearl Harbor.
And so, as you mentioned, that is on the front page of our newspaper this week, the Hallettsville Tribune Herald, and also mentioned in several other Lavaca County newspapers as columns just to remember the day and its significance. And also in the newspapers this week, we have a lot of different stories about the Christmas events that were held over the weekend. In Shiner, there was the Christmas at the brewery. In Yoakum, there was Christmas on Grand. And then there's in Hallettsville at the KC Hall, there was an arts and crafts event, which had both Santa and the Grinch with the surprise double feature together. So Christmas spirit has been alive and well all over the county.
Yeah, over in Moulton, we have a front page picture of the Moulton royalty, and they won best overall at the Smithfield Lighted Parade Saturday evening. So that turned out well. That's about a 5-column picture of these kids in full color. So you might want to check that out. But it also has something to do with Christmas.
Yeah, that float in Molten is absolutely beautiful. And I noticed that they've been getting awards in a lot of the different parades they've been going to. So congratulations to the Yoakum Chamber and to the royalty. That is an absolutely beautiful float. And that picture by, I want to get the name right, Anna Bartos,
Yes.
fantastic photo.
Yeah. Oh, it turned out well. And like Hans said, we've got so many Christmas activities that have already happened that will continue to happen. And so there's probably more there than we can tell you right now. But just pick up your newspaper. I mean, you won't have any problem seeing it all.
Yeah, coming up, some of the Christmas events, and this is mentioned in the different newspapers. I know that they have the Santa Claus Storytime with Santa Claus on December 10th in Shiner. And then there are several events coming up all of next week and the following week, even in the Carl and Mary Wellhausen Library in Yoakum. So there's definitely plenty coming up and plenty that's already happened concerning the Christmas events here in Lavaca County.
All right. What's next, Hans?
Well, another event that we can look forward to, and we have a story on the front page of the Shiner Gazette, courtesy of managing editor Bobby Horechka, is the Shiner Volunteer Fire Department's 6th annual Giblet Rice fundraiser, and that is next week, December 17th. So that sounds delicious for those of you who are wanting to support the volunteer fire department while enjoying a nice meal. That's a great opportunity there.
Yeah, and I was just looking what you had already mentioned it about the decoration and all that happened at the Shiner Brewery. I was just looking at that picture again. That's a Who took that picture, Michelle?
Yeah, that was our staff photographer, Michelle Price. She did
Yeah,
a great job, and
yes, she did.
I know in China they look for any reason to use some fireworks, so why not a Christmas celebration?
Yeah, that's a great time for it. That's for sure.
And I've got another neat story for you out of Yoakum, this time actually out of Cuero, but it's featured in the Yoakum newspaper on the front page there. There was this huge metal tank, and you might not believe me until you actually see the picture yourself, because it explains it in more words than I could possibly write. But there's this huge metal tank about 20 feet long by 12-foot diameter that floated down
Guadalupe.
the Guadalupe River. And it just, I guess it was right during a flood, probably 6 months ago or so, and it just drifted onto some land in Cuero. And then the flood water, dissipated, went back into the river, and then this huge tank was just left on the land there in Cuero. And that leaves them in a very interesting situation because it's not their tank. In fact, they don't even know whose tank it is. But now they called I don't want to get the name wrong. I believe it's the Guadalupe Blanco River Authority. The River Authority said that it wasn't their responsibility either. So they're trying to find out how to get rid of this tank, whose it is, and what to do with it next.
Yeah, they got a Christmas present that they didn't want, folks. I tell you, that's I'm looking at that picture right now, and it's huge. I mean, this guy's standing beside it, and it towers over him. So this is something that they're going to have to work out. I don't know where it would finally end up. I don't know if the state would get involved or what.
Yeah, and Commissioner Offlerbach, he's actually a pretty tall guy. He's like 6'2", so it's a huge tank. And I'm just estimating they're 6'2". I could be wrong. But nonetheless, when I was talking to him and to the county judge over there, Daryl Fowler, they said that if it floods again, that tank could go right back in the river, and there's a bridge probably only a couple hundred yards down the way.
Isn't that near Hoheim?
Hoheim would be where it was coming from, but this would be right in Carrero. I have the name of right north of Highway 72 in Carrero.
State Highway 72. It's on private property, which we already talked about. But that's something I don't really know what they would do about it. I don't know who would have the final say on what happens to that tank. But if, like Hans said, if it was to be another flood and that thing went down and crashed into a bridge somewhere, that could be very dangerous.
And yeah, the main question here is, and by the way, once again, I do recommend you look at this picture online, NevadaCountyToday.com, or in our newspaper, because it really brings it to life how big this is. But if it floods again, this could be dangerous. But the question is, does it belong to the county? I mean, they didn't ask for it. It just
Yeah,
floated right down the river, so they don't necessarily want it. But it just amazes me to see that something this large and this heavy could just float down the river. And
yeah, really, that could be very dangerous, and we don't know what's inside that tank or if there's a residue of some hazardous material. So that's something's going to have to be taken care of.
and we have a story, and I'm reading it just now, gathering all the details on the front of the Molten Eagle regarding a Molten man who was picked as Texas's EMS Citizen of the Year. And uh, Bobby writes that this was true for Ben Wensky of Molten, and he wrote that he had what professionals called a severe medical emergency out at his farm nearby in Gonzales County. So, for all the details here, once again, this is regarding the 2022 Texas EMS Citizen of the Year award. So that sounds extremely prestigious and impressive. So we appreciate Ben and Bobby for writing that story.
Wasn't his son involved in giving him medical attention before help got there?
Yes,
I
yeah,
don't know. I thought I read that somewhere, but
yeah. He credited his son Joseph with providing that service.
well, we're glad that's been taken care of and that he's well and able to enjoy Christmas with his family. And his son is to be commended on taking that quick action. So that's a good thing. That'll be a good Christmas for them that they know he's doing well.
And I was looking at the back page of the Dallasville Tribune Herald today, and I noticed the most gigantic photo of a vat was used in, I guess, the first brewery in Lavaca County.
I think I might be missing B section.
Now I see it for you
Have I
right
got?
here. It's of course it's on the back of our senior sport editor's sports section, Chuck Graff. But yes, this was regarding the Rocky Creek Brewery.
Yeah, I came across this story years ago. Actually, I saw it on microfilm. It was the 1956 edition of the Molten Eagle, and I was unable to find out very much information. Now, with Hans's help, we found more online about it. But you basically need to read the story. But this brewery was founded in 1875, which I'm pretty sure makes it older than the brewery in China.
I have checked with my sources and confirmed that that should be correct.
Okay.
And because I believe Shiner started in the early 20th century, the Scottsdale Brewery, but the Rocky Creek Brewery was only around for a few years. I believe it was only about less than 10 years. I think it was only 4 or 5.
Yeah, it was like 1882. It closed.
And the reason, the difficulties that I was facing was there was not enough ice. So you don't think about that as an issue to shut down a brewery nowadays with our
Yeah,
technology. But this is very fascinating. Also, very, very few people, and there's very little information about the Rocky Creek Brewery. There's not too much going around. So this is a great opportunity to read about some long lost Lavaca County history. Or
yeah.
is this in Lavaca County or is this just north?
This is 5 miles north of Moulton. So I don't want to tell a lie because I don't know exactly if that's not in Fayette County. But irregardless, it was there and about 5 miles north of Moulton. And in that original story, the writer explained that the business consisted of a wooden two-story building which housed a 3 or 400 gallon copper vat, and it was located on the first floor, and the second floor was used as a dance hall. Now, I couldn't find any pictures of the original vat. The article that I had researched had some pictures in the old paper, but it wasn't anything we could publish. So what I did, I went online and tried to find a copper vat that was basically around that time. And the one I found was at Coors Brewery. I believe that's in Golden, Colorado. I think it's near Denver. But this picture, that vat is from 1873, and Rocky Creek was founded in 1875. So it's possible that it could be, like this one. However, this one sure looks a lot bigger than it
Yeah, that's a huge one, and maybe it has to do with how large that photo is,
could
but
be.
but it's a huge vat. And so that's a great story. I believe that's in the Scots community.
Right.
Is
Right.
yeah, the technical location for it. But some great history, and I hope to find out even more. Hopefully, there's a follow-up story coming up, in the next few months or so, because we're continuing to dig some more up on this and hopefully find out more of the Rocky Creek story.
Yeah. What was really unusual to me was for something like that to have been there. And of course, it was a long time ago, but you would think that there had been stories passed down or descendants or somebody. And I think Hans talked to some people, but irregardless, it was there. There's no doubt about that. The Scott School, I believe. Henry Joe Jasek, one of our associates here at the paper,
Little buddy.
our little buddy, he was raised near that Scott School. And he said he knows exactly where that's at. But so far, nobody's told us exactly where the old brewery was.
So, and some nice mystery to end off the news there. And there's plenty of great news. We didn't even scratch the surface on the news this week, so
That's true.
definitely check it out. But moving into sports, it looks like all of our Lavaca County football teams are have concluded their playoff runs. The Cardinals lost to Lubbock Christian for their fifth straight title, and Shiner was edged out by Refugio in the playoffs with a late score. Writes our a sports editor in Shiner, Mark Libby.
Yeah, these teams, well, they all are all out of it. Even our neighbors at Columbus, and I guess the only ones that are still rolling on would be Cuero over in DeWitt County.
I hear they're playing in. Are they playing in Houston? Right.
They're playing in San Antonio, I believe, at the Alamo Dome. I believe that's correct.
Well, that's very cool. That sounds like a very memorable experience for all those players and their families.
Yeah, I think they got that far last year, if my memory serves me correct. But it's getting into the tough times now, and they're going to be playing. I believe they're playing Wimberley, and
Well, good luck to them. They're the closest team we have to cheer for. So even though they beat a lot of the teams that we cheer on here, we may as well cheer on our neighbors to the south.
yeah, give them some kudos for as far as they've gone.
And we do have a ton of basketball coverage and other sport coverage for those of you who are interested in reading up on that. But another cool sports story that I wanted to touch on was it's called Touchdowns for Education, and this is on page 7A of the Tribune Herald. And this is regarding a local individual who has submitted $100. It looks like an organization, the Leopold Insurance Agency. They pay $100 to donate $100 for every touchdown scored by Sacred Heart each season. And this is the 9th season that they're doing it. But this is really a cool way to cheer on your local sports team and also donate and hopefully, I guess, contribute to a good cause.
Yeah, I don't know how many people know about that. I didn't know about it till you brought it up. But that's a great thing that they're doing. I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah, and the donation actually goes straight to the operating fund at Sacred Heart. So that's great. I mean, it's a way to support local education, local sports, and just local students all around. And I guess now this is back to news for the news that we're going to end on this week. Unfortunately, there was a tragic loss last week. I believe that was last week of a Wharton County Sheriff's deputy.
Yeah, I don't remember if we mentioned that last week or if it happened after the paper came out.
I don't think we got around to it last week. It may have happened the same day. But yeah, tell us what you know about this.
Yeah, it was a former Wharton County Sheriff's deputy, Phil, and that name starts with a P, so I'm thinking that maybe that P is silent. But it was a tragic accident, and it was an accident, and it's just I don't know. It's another reminder of you folks that hunt how careful you need to be when you're loading your guns and unloading and whatever. But this was a sad story.
Yeah, and our condolences certainly go out to all of his family, coworkers, friends, everybody who knows him. And just a very quick summary is just that it was a hunting accident. When loading a gun, there was a accidental discharge, and unfortunately, it was a fatal shot. So once again, our condolences go out, and we send our thoughts and prayers.
Sheriff Micah Harmon had been quoted as saying that it was definitely an accident.
And for everybody else, we really appreciate you coming in to listen. I know we're ending on a somber note this week, but there's plenty to look forward to regarding community events this week. And once again, 4 great newspapers with some good news to check out.
You bet. And we'll give you a little teaser for next week. Now, don't take this to the bank because I'm not really sure, but we're still working on him to have the little fella, Henry Joe Jasek, join us in the next podcast. So if you hadn't looked forward to it for any other reason, you certainly should look forward to it for that.
Yeah, we're still in talks with his talent agent, and we're trying to get everything sorted out regarding the contracts. But we hope to get him on the podcast, talk to him next week, and go through the newspapers with Henry Joe.
Yeah, well, he can certainly be bribed with food, so we may have to use that. But anyway, we'll be seeing you next week, and I'm going to tell you goodbye for now, and be saying goodbye to you, and Hans will be telling you goodbye, and we'll talk to you later.
Yeah, thanks for reading, thanks for listening, and we look forward to seeing you again next Wednesday for another Lavaca County News Review.